Hey, what's up, heroes? George Garcia here. Today, what I wanted to talk to you guys about is what I think about weed. Mary Jane, that thing right there behind me. Weed, La Mota, Mary Jane, that ganja, that all that crazy ish. Um, well, let me just start off with my experience with weed. Um, I never smoked weed ever till I got out of high school, till I was like 19. I was about 19 when I first smoked weed, and I think the first time that I think like the first 2 to 3 times that I smoked weed, and it really had any effect on me. It just like really didn't, and I kind of just felt sleepy, kind of like nothing. I didn't really feel anything. Um, but the first time that I actually felt faded in what I call high is this one time that when me and my homies were it was a Monday night. I was around 19, and we're in Hollywood, and we're about to go into this club called Blue Mondays. And who parties on a Monday in Hollywood? Nothing but weird ass people. So I guess we're part of the weird ones. So, anyways, we decided to just, what did we do? Just smoke a blunt, And we had rolled a blunt, and we just, we got faded, and whatever. So we went inside the club, and by the time that I was in there, I started feeling the effects of just being like faded. Especially since it was the first time of me actually calling myself faded, like being like shit, I'm faded. This is what it feels like to be faded. And this club has 2 floors. There's the dancing floor at the bottom, and there's the more like a lounge upstairs. So we were chilling upstairs, and we were kind of lounging, and from upstairs you could see everybody downstairs dancing. So like I said, who parties on a Monday night in Hollywood in a club called Blue Mondays? And it's actually an 80s club, kind of electro, kind of gothic. So I was on the top, second floor, looking down at everyone, and I didn't want to do much because I was faded. So I was just looking down at everyone, and I was tripping the fuck out. I was tripping out. I felt like I was in a movie. I felt like I was in a movie, like in a cartoon. Not really in a cartoon, not in a cartoon, but in the movie, because you had all these characters. I started analyzing everything, the situation. You had this like fat Chinese guy in the corner by himself, not doing much. He was just singing along. He was wearing like a gray shirt, some shorts, and like some tennis shoes, and like glasses, I think. And he was like kind of overweight, obese. And he didn't look like he was there to dance or do much except sing along to every song. He was just kind of leaning against like this thing. He was just singing along to every song, and I was like, whoa, that guy's trippy. Then you had this guy dressed in all black, all black. He looked like from his face, or from his just from his demeanor, from the way he kind of looked. If you were to see him outside, he didn't really look too off. He was just wearing a black button shirt and the black pants. But this guy was doing the robot the whole night. He was going through the crowd. He was going through the crowd like just doing the robot. He was like he wouldn't get off character. That was his whole thing. And I was like tripping out. I was like, what the hell? Are people really doing this? Oh man! So then you had this big, this other guy. It was big, tall, black dude wearing a leather jacket, no shirt. Not a jacket, but kind of like a leather vest. Skinny ass pants, and he was a black, but kind of looked mixed with Indian. So he kind of like had a Caucasian nose, but he was black, but he had straight hair. And this guy would get on top of the like, kind of like the go-go dancing thing, not really go-go dancing, but just like on top of this box, and he would just jam out. You know, that guy was feeling it. You know, that guy looked like he was a kind of like a low-key celebrity. You know, there in Hollywood, he just knew what he was doing, and he was just saying what's up to everybody. Yeah, and that guy was just grooving it. So you know, he stood out too. Then I remember you had you like the best friends, the besties. They were just dancing together. And everybody looked like a character. Like, to me, that day, everybody just stood out. Everybody was there in their own world, and I could see their world, you know. Like, I was just tripping out. I could just say I was just tripping out. Like, I was just kind of like, everybody in there just felt like a character, an individual character. Like, everybody was just different, doing their own thing without really minding other people's world. You know, which kind of like, maybe that's what I was doing at the same time. You know, I was just faded, minding my own world and just checking everybody out. And honestly, right now I can't remember more about that day, but I remember just everybody in there was just a character and funny as hell. So that's actually my first time that I actually felt faded. And it just tripped me the fuck out. I was like, oh shit, is this what weed is? It just makes you think, it makes you see things like this, like, damn, this is crazy. The world is crazy. I mean, for being the first time, I was just tripping balls. So that was my first experience. And beyond that, I kept smoking weed. And around that time, I actually used to smoke a lot. You know, I had just came out of high school. All my responsibilities were just to go work. And at that time, I wasn't really thinking about much. You know, I was just trying to have fun. So, to me, I can say that weed really impacted me in a strong way. It really did. To some people, it's like whatever, you know, I'll smoke weed and relax. And I smoke weed and I could go to work and I could smoke weed and do this and do that. But hell no, not to me. Like, I feel like weed to me was equivalent to LSD almost. It really was. Because sometimes I would smoke weed and I would feel paralyzed. Like, I would try to write my thoughts, but I couldn't. My mind was separate from my body. That's how I felt. Like, my mind was just separate from my body. Like I would see visions. I would see like things in my mind, and my mind would drift into a whole different reality of kind of more like a dream state, where I was just going into this tunnel vision type of thing. And like, it felt like I would lock into this one thought, and all my attention would go to that one thought, and it would just kind of trail, and the thought would keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, kind of like in a trance-like thing. And I would have like real crazy experiences, you know. And there was times that I would try to write down my experiences, but I couldn't. Like, my mind just couldn't bring myself to write things, you know. And I'm talking about, this was just regular weed, you know. And there's times that where I would get high and my ears would get clogged up, my throat would get like I couldn't talk, you know. And sometimes I would feel like the world was flat. Like, I'll be so faded that I couldn't tell distances. Like, everything just felt like a screen right here, right in front. Like, everything just kind of looked HD right in front of me, you know. So that's why I actually quit for I smoked weed from 19 to 23, I think. Yeah. Then I quit for 2 years. And I now and then I would smoke when I was 25, like here now and then, because I knew the effects that it had on me. And one of the craziest experiences that I ever had was with the Doors. I don't know if you guys ever heard Celebration of the Lizard King, where it's like a 15 minute song, It's in a concert. It's a let me look for the CD. Here we go. It's this one, The Doors, in concert, and it has the Celebration of the Lizard King. It's about 15 minutes long, I think. If anything, the whole half of the CD is just dedicated to that whole track, the whole celebration. And I remember it was me and my homies. It was around midnight. It was late at night, around 11:30 to midnight, where we had just gotten high. We just had just puffed some weed, and we were listening to this whole album. And I remember, like, towards when it got into the Celebration of the Lizard King, we were all just kind of sleep mode. Kind of like that sleep mode where you're kind of still awake, where you're just faded, relaxing like this. But like, if you guys ever listen to Celebration of the Lizard King, it starts building momentum. It starts building momentum. It starts taking you into a trip. It starts taking you into a trance like vision. And I remember just everybody was quiet when this whole celebration was like, I swear to anything, we all felt like we were there with Jim. We all felt like he was taking us on a trip, on a journey, and we could see everything that he was describing, and that everything was just kind of like a trance-like vision. I swear. And this is the best version I've ever heard on Celebration of Lizard King, because it's live and it's so good, and it's just the best. Just try it out yourself. It's called In Concert. And I remember it's like we were just tripping balls, and everybody felt the same way, because by the time the song ended, we were all like, because like we didn't even say anything, we all just knew, we felt exactly the same, and we felt what Jim was describing and everything. So like, as soon as like the song ended, we were just like looking at each other like, damn, like everybody was there. It was like a roller coaster. Everybody was riding the roller coaster, and everybody just felt it. So that was just like one of the craziest experiences that I had with weed. And like for me, weed was always a teacher. It always taught me things. It really did. Because when I started smoking weed, I started reading a lot. I started really getting interested in a lot of things. In a lot of I started reading Carlos Castañeda books. That like, if you guys ever heard of him or haven't, go look at his stuff. It's this Mexican guy that went to Mexico to take lessons from a Mexican sorcerer, that taught him the way of the warrior, the way of the plant life. Peyote. He induced peyote, and he he learned what he felt, he saw kind of like the essence of the world, and the teacher would just kind of describe to him what everything meant, and was supposed to mean according to his teachings. So I started reading a lot. I started researching psychic powers. I started, what is intuition? What is psychic? I started reading. I learned that everybody's psychic. I learned that everybody has the sixth sense. That there's outer body experiences. That there's other worlds beyond what we see. There's the worlds of perception that are there, but our current perception that we're indoctrinated and we're just used to seeing is not, it can't grasp it. It's just, there's a wall there that you would have to go into a higher state of mind for you to just see other worlds, and it's the truth. Science knows this and all this stuff, and spirituality knows this and all that. you know, and I felt like I really got smart like during those times. But then again, you know, being high is not very socially acceptable for you to be high all the time, so that's kind of why I stopped. But I really did learn a lot because it opened my minds for me to want to learn more about things. So I started watching a lot of documentaries, started reading a lot of books, I started asking a lot of questions, and I would just sometimes, like, the universe would respond and I would just trip the fuck out, you know, like shit, like things that were just tripping me out. So that's another reason I stopped smoking, because like if you get heavy in the weed, you know, it could freak you out. So it's another thing that my experience with weed, you know, and I still think it's good for you, you know. A lot of people use it for medicinal purposes, you know, for medication, for mind relief, stress relief, bone relief, whatever. And you know, I think one day it's gonna be legal and we're gonna use it properly. We're gonna use a hemp plant properly, use it more resourceful and useful and all that, you know. But beyond that, those are my weed experiences. Weed, you know, I'm talking about, you know, weed. What else can I say? You know, it's just it opened up my mind like crazy. And in my other video, I described how one of my other first realizations about the way it impacted me and my mind was that I was looking at a car, and I wasn't even looking at the car. I was looking at the hood of the car, and I was tripping out. I was like, "Oh shit!" You know, we call this metal. This is metal. Like, who came up with metal? Like, what is metal? What materials, elements, substances do we have to blend to get metal? And who came up with this genius blend? Like, who knew how to mix what with what for us to get metal? You know, and I was like, how do they shape it, you know? Or how long did it take for us to, in human history, for us to find out this exact combination for us to get metal, you know? I mean, we use it for everything. But how long did it take? What did we have to go through? How many years? How much experience? How many trials and errors? How many, you know, like, what really led to this thing we call metal? And I was just tripping the fuck. I was tripping the fuck out. I was tripping balls, and I was like, you know, I wasn't even thinking about the car, because the car was just, you know, so ahead of what I was thinking. I was just thinking about the metal. So that's another thing that just weed made me see things in depth. You know, like, really, it made me see that the quote. Have you guys ever heard Aldous Huxley quote? And I'll read it. I actually have a book. Hold on. I actually have the book. It's called The Doors to Perception by Aldous Huxley. It's actually the book Jim Morrison read. They got inspired for them to name the Doors the Doors. He read this book and saw the quote, and that's how they named the Doors the Doors, if you guys didn't know. It's not a Aldous Huxley quote, but it's a William Blake quote, and it goes like, if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. And at that moment that I saw the metal, I realized exactly what this quote meant. That everything is infinite. Everything just goes beyond everything that we see in the surface. Just like like the time that it took for someone to realize that metal could be made, there was an infinite process behind that. It took maybe thousands, hundreds of thousands, and even probably millions of years for the metal to be created. So it was just a process that was beyond anything that we could think of, you know. and it eventually, through time and energy, this thing that we call metal was made. But beyond that, if you look at a chair, you know, if you look at anything, if you look at anything, I don't even want to get into that, but if you just stop and realize what something took to be created is just infinite, you can never get to the root of it. And that was another realization and experience that I had with weed. And actually, I mean, I don't know, I probably do have more experiences, but I know this video is long enough, and that was just a quick, not quick, I know it's 20 minutes long, but that was just my rant, my experience, me kicking knowledge to you guys and just sharing who I am, where I've been through, and that's me. You guys, peace out. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, share it if you found it useful, if you like it. Check out my blog on the description below. What else? Make money with me at Empower Network. Join me, join my team. I will help you make money just like I'm making money, and how thousands of people are making money with Empower Network. That's the new movement. That's the new thing. That's the future, you guys. That's the way people are gonna make a living in the future. That's how people are making money right now. And just click the link below, join. I'll hit you up as soon as you do. Hit me up, either one. But I hope to working with you, you know. I'll be my pleasure. And check it out, you guys. Check it out. I know you guys know what this is. Yup. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. You know, greatest album ever. Point blank. Enough said. Peace out. Laters.